Good afternoon and welcome to this last session of Day 1 of Madrid Platform, the first international hub, hub between Madrid and Europe. We're going to talk about Insurtech, and the insurance industry is changing quite a bit. The phenomenon of startups is renovating the insurance business. Technology has played an important role in completely changing businesses around the world, not only in trade and travel, but also in insurance. And the implications at global level are still being analyzed. We're going to have an interesting panel today to talk about that in this digital transformation of insurance and new technologies. The first is going to be Ventura Pobre from the Agency for the Changes in this Business. Adelante, you have the floor, please.
Muchas gracias.
Thanks very much. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm sorry that I can't be with you in person. I promise I will be there next year, but I'm still confined to talk about the impact and challenge of technology in general, and not just in the world of insurance, because we can't talk about Insurtech or insurance and digitization, and I'll try to contribute as best I can to the implication that digitization has at all levels, especially in the business world. I hope this will allow us to reach some conclusions. Now, first, over the last several years, we've had the opportunity to participate in MATIC in electronics and participate by representing the electronic industry and the ITCs in Spain. Up until now, I was able to do things that I was never able to do in 45 years of my professional life. When I began to work many years ago, no one had prepared me for what was going to be so important, the digital transformation in products and services, and in general in the value chain of the different businesses I've been involved in. The first job, I'm going to talk about, to give you talk about a personal story. The first job that I had in industry was the recording of records, vinyl records, cassettes. The company had 20 factories. It was a joint venture between Philips and Siemens, and we were at the vanguard of technology in manufacturing records. In 1982, I was the Director General, and in a visit to our laboratories in Haifa, I saw this new support and this new media that was going to compete with vinyl. The new technology converted music into bytes using optic fiber, using lasers called a compact disc. It was completely new. Now, we have other industries coming, but in 1982, there was a complete disruption of something that was a marvelous business. It's a very attractive business. We earned a lot of money with the vinyl. But then there was a technological disruption with the CD. We had to answer a questionnaire about the impact that this was going to have on the business and quality, costs. But we didn't realize what a huge impact it was going to have we didn't think that the substitution was very probable, but then over the next 10 years, and now it would be 3 or 4 years, more than 20 million records produced became zero. Those 500 jobs in our factories in Spain completely disappeared. And that was the impact of just one digital technology, the CDs. Over the next several years, the use of internet and the possibility of using streaming to transmit these content immediately meant that these different reproducers, these players would just completely disappear. Who would have imagined in 1982 that the record player was working just fine, earning lots of money, the whole society, this was part of our culture, the record player, was just completely disappear from one day to the next, really. People still say that vinyl sounds better, but the fact is that that wasn't enough to stop the impact of the new digital technology. And I don't think that we need to give many more examples, although there are many, because the consumer electronic business, either hardware or software or content, what was unthinkable 40 years ago has given tremendous opportunities for innovation in business. I was working on the consumer side over these years. I've had a lot of opportunities to innovate, and sometimes we just didn't react fast enough. The same thing can be said about almost all businesses. In each case, in each sector, each industry, and each service, the natural trend, especially of executives, is to say, that's not a big deal. But then we would start to think that we're going to create some barriers so that it doesn't affect us, and we're going to resist. We'll make a small effort to digitize a few things, maybe the web page, so it looks like we're doing something interesting. In the panel discussion, they're going to talk specifically about Insurtech and about what, with that disruption, that digital disruption, will mean in that business. But I'm going to continue talking in general. I wanted to continue to talk about employment or the lack of employment, just to understand this disruption. When we talk about artificial intelligence and so forth. In his last book, Giovanni Alohari talked about 21 lessons for the 21st century. He said the major effect that digital evolution will have on employment will be hundreds of millions of jobs will just disappear. And this means that we'll have to face a crisis, and there's no ideology or system that it can handle, that it can address that crisis. He is known for his book, Sapiens, and so talking about the history of mankind. So I think that today's society is already suffering from unemployment, and there's going to be a greater and greater impact of digitization on employment. And with the pandemic, the impact has been accelerating. We're talking about billions of jobs that will disappear. It's going to be a global, national, and individual problem. There'll be new jobs, but with a completely different profile. And here, I want to give you just a small example. The disappearance of the carriage pulled by horses meant that eliminated millions of jobs for horses. So we needed mechanics, electricians, and other professionals for cars, but horses were no longer needed. And today, in Spain, SEMINARIO, the Association for ICT companies, has reported that maybe the educational system has not reacted in time to these changes, but I don't think that's I don't think that that's the only thing. I think we really need to think about this. Now, in terms of the future, the two main liberalism and communism, the two main ideologies in the 21st century, fascism, nationalisms, and other systems will present themselves to try to solve these problems, but frankly, I don't think they're going to be very efficient. Therefore, we must not be blind. We must realize that this is going to be a challenge for everyone. It'll take more or less time, but it will happen. What we can't do is stop technological progress. We have to get on this train, the train of digitization, because either you become digital or they're going to digitalize you. And this scenario, if they digitize you, would mean uncertainty. At the national level and the business level, we have to digitize ourselves in all sectors. We're seeing this at personal level. Also, those that are not native digitals are, for us it's very much more difficult to change the established processes in companies. So it's extremely hard to do this, especially in an organization of hundreds of people. And despite the difficulties, you have Amazon based on digital processes. How's the Corte Inglés going to compete with an Amazon? In the banking industry, it's the same thing. And the same thing's going to happen in Insurtech. Development in digital development is extremely fast, and it's global. Just to give you an idea, in MIT, they just published a report that talked about 2 billion euros, or more than $3 trillion, to develop technologies to help with the digital transformation. That's double the effort than in 2016. So in 5 years, over the next decades, there's going to be tremendous innovation, and this will happen at all levels. We know, what is this digitization based on? What technologies are being used in the business world? What do we have to learn? Just very in general. Digitization is based on kits, and their impact depends on each sector. We have big data. That's where we have all of the data. That's the accumulation of data, which cannot be processed by with traditional tools. And the volume is growing, and data is becoming more and more varied, and therefore need to be managed in a different way. Big data also accumulates or extracts information systematically with a certain objective. It's impossible to do this in a traditional method. So we have the capture, analysis, and distribution, visualization of these data. Now, where do these data come from? Well, mostly from the Internet of Things. Internet of Things is that digital technology where it uses sensors and puts those on the Internet. Last year, it was calculated that there were 200 trillion things connected to the Internet. These different sensors connected to the Internet. That's just absolutely incredible. But that's the figure. Cloud. That's the third technology. We don't have enough computational power to process big data, and so we need to invest in. We don't have the hardware for that, so it has to be done on the cloud. It's like if we had a data center that we can use through the internet. And the cornerstone is artificial intelligence. This is the only tool that human beings have to make predictions. It tries to imitate the human brain using machines. This artificial intelligence competes with our brain in terms of neurological networks to look at these different probabilities. And they make fewer errors than human beings make. Machines learn. They learn from their mistakes, and then we have what we call machine learning. And so they haven't reproduced neurons yet, cerebral neurons, but these artificial intelligence do work with much less energy. Right now, these artificial intelligence uses a lot of energy, but in the future, it will probably use less and less energy. Right now, it uses 50% of its capacity. Now, the capacity of artificial vision is very much developed as well. I'm running out of time. I just want to finish up saying that we need to define other kits, cybersecurity, robotics. Simplemente, my message is that this automation is the direction that we're heading in. That's my main message. So, good luck. And that was my introduction to this afternoon of our topic.
Thank you. That was a very interesting reflection by Mr. Ventura, who has talked about structural changes, about transformation in different businesses. I'm sure you've also thought about 2 or 3 different examples apart from CD players and compact discs, and you've probably also thought about employment nowadays and in the future. Let's talk now about Insurtech, about insurance companies. So, Pablo, please come here. He is the Director General of the Insurtech Community Hub. So, the floor is yours. Thank you very much, Ventura, for your contribution on technology, especially on the information and communication technology. Your talk has been very useful in order to introduce my talk on the insurance business. It is important to know the impact of everything we do in all ecosystems, because sometimes the impact that is on humanity as a whole, 7.5 billion people. And that's how we can see the real dimension of the insurance sector. Worldwide, it accounts for 7.2% of the gross domestic product, international product, and it is generating 70 billion in assets, because insurances are in order to protect people and to improve the quality of people's lives. We've been protecting people for hundreds of years, ever since there that people would transport goods on horses. And we have also provided insurances and policies for different people who were just working many years ago. And of course, we will continue to help and support people. It is true that there is a digital divide, but if society changes, insurance policies have to change. If society digitalizes, insurance companies have to digitalize as well. And the pandemic has made us show our capacity to react to any pitfall we can find. And we are stronger now. And we have accelerated digitalization in our sector.
Bien. Si empezamos a hablar de la digitalización y cómo podemos
talk about digitalization and about how we can all accelerate transformation, we think that there are some projects that can accelerate transformation. And for us, we think it is important to propose spaces for collaboration between all players and stakeholders. This is going to be key in order to increase our business. And as Madrid Insurtech Hub, we are a non-profit organization that aims to attract talent, disruptive technology, and we help people to launch their projects, considering the insurance sector, putting together all stakeholders, public and private companies, different corporations, technology companies, insurance companies, business schools, investors, and, of course, Insurtech. This is our objective at Madrid Insurtech Hub. We want to become a point of reference worldwide. We want to foster innovation and promote business startups. We will talk later about the value chain because we have to continue to promote this model and increase our value chain because the value chain is being disrupted. Employment is key, collaboration and alliances, which are also very important for our goals. And we, of course, need talent, because otherwise we won't be able to make progress. And as we said before, we have to consider what our industry looks like, because we have to put together the capacities we all have, our skills. We continue to talk to our partners in Latin America because they have very disruptive models that are going to accelerate these processes in the insurance sector. Institutions are going to play a leading role, both public and private institutions. I think that if we put together both public and private companies, the sector will perform much better. We also need to identify talent quickly in order to foster companies. We are also in touch with business schools, and we are also in touch with investors and with international hubs. We need to have a network that connects all players in a natural way. We have 6 axes that have an impact on our daily basis. Connected homes on the first hand, because we have to see how to protect people. We need to know people's habits. We need to know people's problems and to have a preventative approach. And get savings. And then we have to know what's happening at home when we are not home. Every time we go somewhere, healthy lifestyle, mental well-being, together with healthy eating, you will be able to have a good quality of life as you age. That is very important. We also have insurances for unforeseen events. We have to anticipate what might happen to those people who depend on us, and we also talk about financial peace of mind, and we talk about digital security. And we see that we continue to have a higher life expectancy, and this has to be taken into account as well. Digital security is very important for us. We are digital. We communicate in a digital fashion, and we have to reflect and see how to protect ourselves. Protect ourselves from any theft or hacking. Data are absolutely key. And artificial intelligence is also very important in our approach. We need to know why we are providing data to different companies, and what data and how data will be managed. Of course, innovation is very important. We are going to give you 4 disruptive ideas in the insurance sector, which will play a leading role in the new ecosystem. First of all, Nimitz. Luis Alberto de la Cruz is here with us, who is the CEO and founder of Nimitz. Hello. Good afternoon.
Alberto, te voy a preguntar para que la gente se pueda ubicar.
Let me ask you a question. How would you explain Nimitz in a tweet? That's a good question. In less than 140 characters, Nimitz is about taking care of the privacy of personal data in a digital environment. And what is the value proposal by Nimitz? Well, as you said, you talked about the new lines of work of insurance, connected homes, mobility. I think it is obvious that we are providing more and more information. And it's a growing trend, and therefore Nimitz aims at providing software that can detect personal data in any type of content. Until now, we used to have companies that were capable of erasing this data, but there were no tools that were able to identify our data in any given content. Every time we provide data, on paper or digitally, we have to take care. There is regulation, but we also have to have special software. So we have developed an app that can find and identify our data, and users can decide whether to erase their data or modify their data. And this offers us many possibilities. And what about Nimitz in the insurance sector? What role can it play? Well, a very relevant role, because there is a lot of information in the insurance sector, and there is key data, personal data in the insurance companies. Data on our health record, for example, and all that information is exposed, and therefore insurance companies have to make an assessment and have to know where the information is and how that information is being protected, and whether the law on data protection is being complied with. In the field of insurance companies, we want to help companies to comply with the different regulations on data protection. Then, data security is absolutely key. there is more and more information exposed. There are more and more apps on this information protection, and their hackers are using reversed information and therefore can use the information on us in different ways, so we have to be careful. So it is absolutely important to work on data analytics, anonymized data. And that means that I do not have to ask you for permission, Pablo, to use your data to improve my or your insurance or my insurance policies. I use your data in an anonymous way in order to improve my products. Disruptive technology. What are you applying? Well, as most companies, we are applying artificial intelligence and we are processing natural language. We are teaching machines to interpret what a human being says. And therefore, we can deal with data within a certain context and know if the information has to be anonymized or not. Thank you. Thank you very much.
La segunda que vamos a presentar es Lisa Seguros.
Lisa Seguros, Pilar Andrade, CEO, who is with us today. Hello, Pilar. Welcome.
Pues te voy a preguntar lo mismo que a Luis Alberto.
I'm going to ask you the same questions. If you had to describe what you do in a tweet, what would you say? We are 100% digital insurances. That's why we provide more simple and more flexible and more fair insurance policies for our customers. What is the role you play in the distribution models within Insurtech? Well, considering what you've said, Ventura, and also you, we are going to play a very relevant role because we are going through a disruptive moment in terms of digitalizations, and changes are taking place in other sectors. We have the digital economy, the role played by freelancers, and everything is happening at the same time. So models have to be adapted very quickly, and therefore the distribution field has to react appropriately. In the field of insurance companies, we are going to have to make a big change. We will continue to follow some standard processes for insurances. Now, due to the pandemic, we've seen different scenarios. Cybersecurity is also important. We have to provide insurances for pandemics. So there are many challenges ahead. Technology and algorithms, what role do they play in your work? Well, we have to consider every technology that we apply in our sector. At the beginning, we fall in love with technology right away. We want to apply blockchain, artificial intelligence. We want to apply everything. But we have to do it gradually, considering the client's needs. It's not technology for the sake of technology. We have to apply technology in order to provide more flexible solutions to the customer. People want their own type of insurance. So we want insurance policies to be more just. What are the challenges that lie ahead for you when you have to deal with big corporations? I was talking to some stakeholders not long ago, and they were telling me, everything you say seems very simple. It seems very easy to reach an agreement with different insurance companies. you talk about connectivity and everything looks very simple and very easy to apply. People are used to ecosystem, to platforms like Amazon, Uber. But insurance companies have a lot to do in order to provide speed to Insurtech. I think that in the coming 18-24 months we will see important changes. Do you think the insurance sector is ready for digitalization? Absolutely. Yes. The customer, clients are prepared. Clients want to receive everything in a digital format. Clients want things here and now, right away. Clients want their products right away. Also, in the field of insurance policies, we are talking about complex solutions. It is important to reach relevant agreements with big corporations. We are doing tests. We have many opportunities ahead of us with different companies in Latin America and in Europe. Because if we join forces, we will be able to reach economy of scale and improve the situation for our customers. Our customers there are people listening to us in Latin America. So what do you think the situation is going to be like in Latin America? I think it is important to continue to have a dialogue with people in Latin America, because in Latin America they watch us very closely and carefully. All our expertise is already in Latin America thanks to technology. Knowledge is disseminated very quickly, and we have to continue to collaborate, to have partnerships with Latin America and with different stakeholders. Thank you very much. Good luck.
La tercera Insurtech es Analyticals, Javier Triviana, que es el director de ventas. ¿Qué tal? Buenas tardes, Javier.
Gracias. Javier. Porque los que llevamos gafas estamos en la
Analyticals. Lo mismo que te pregunto a resto de emprendedores. Si tuvieses que definir Analyticals en un tweet, ¿cómo lo definirías? Analyticals in a trip. I take advantage of the voice of your customers to give 100% of the information. Can you explain what does Analyticals actually do? Analyticals is a B2B. We take advantage of the information of the calls. We're targeting the call centers. And what we like to be called a tool to improve the customer experience. There are two important pieces of information, 80% and 1%. Right now, all of the people we take advantage of, or 83% of the people use the telephone to contact companies. However, the companies only use 1% of the information in those phone calls. We have to think that the call centers are thousands of people, thousands of workers contacting with tens of thousands of people that are talking about our product, they're talking about our services, the market, the competition, and so forth. They're giving us a lot of information, and what we propose is to take 100% of that information from the calls and exploit it as much as possible. The experience that we to improve the customer experience. And how do you analyze the phone calls then to improve the results of companies? I think that's the key question, isn't it? Yeah, that's what happens with the insurance companies as well. I think it's good to give an example. A company came to us and said that they wanted to sell more, how we could help them to sell more. That's a big objective, an important objective. And we said, well, technology that we're talking about here has to move gradually and has to adapt to these types of solutions which are complex. And what we're trying to do is go step by step to reach the most important objectives. We have the text, we have the audio analysis, and we have the transcription. We can transcript 100% of the communication between an agent and a customer to look at keywords, key sentences, and verify text. Dialogue to see if we're complying or not. Legal text. There I have a lot of important information. And then we have the audio analysis of the person's feelings, empathy, if the one's voice goes up or down, if we interrupt the person during the call, silences, which are very important. When an agent and a customer are speaking, that's what we propose to the customer, to the company. We said, let's first check to see if we're complying the script that you've developed for your sales script. And then the next stage, we're going to explore the communication to see if there are errors in this audio analysis that we do. And then we'll take your best agents, and with those best agents, we'll start to analyze what keywords they're using to respond to objections. And with all this information, plus what we've analyzed, you'll have solid arguments to improve your final product and get more sales. Another important question about improving customer experience. What is your difference? What makes you different from the rest? We're on the voice channel, the customer experience, and there are fantastic tools on the market. But in the voice channel, it's quite common that we use a satisfaction survey. We're consumers. You're going to have to answer or an email or a survey, a satisfaction survey. And what we propose is that it's all fine and good, but it's people really, they're going to answer that when they're very angry or they're very happy. So it's very biased information. What we're proposing is to take advantage of 100% of the calls, and we'll look at each one of the calls to discover the real satisfaction of the customer. So we're going to give an evaluation, a score to each call, and then you're going to be able to look at our panel and see those with the highest score and the lowest score. And for customer experience, for them it's fantastic because they can gather really helpful information and objective information. Or the training, about the training of the agents, knowing customers, it's a huge field. So is voice recognition the future? And it's the present as well. We're the future and the present. The other day, I read a very interesting article by the Spanish Association of Insurtech, and they said what tools need to be used for the new consumers. You have big data to segment customers. You have innovative products, new business models. We talked about safety, protecting data that have to be on the cloud for agility. There has to be artificial intelligence, because there are new products that we need to foster. We have to automate processes. So the article is very interesting. And Analyticos has all of these tools. So we would like the insurance sector to start to understand that with very little they can analyze much more telephone calls and improve the customer experience. Javier Tipiana from Analyticos, thanks very much. Thank you for your invitation.
Y hablando de cloud, estamos hablando de cloud, vamos a presentar la cuarta y última solución disruptiva, que es Decentric, que está Melina Dimulá con nosotros. Melina, buenas tardes.
Melina is here to talk us about Decentric.
Bien.
How are you doing?
Misma pregunta que al resto de compañeros.
Same question. Can you explain what Decentric does very quickly? Thanks very much for inviting us to present what we do at Decentric. Decentric is a Swiss startup. We've been working for 3 years in the sector of confidential computing. It's a very new area. and part of our team is in Europe and part in the United States. What we offer is a platform that allows our customers that are working in the different sectors in data, confidentiality, sensitive data, to share and collaborate with these data and prevent any risk for anyone to make bad use of those data without having to establish the trust between those who are analyzing or involved in this collaboration. All of these years that we've been working in this sector, we've been working in the insurance sector, for example, Swiss Re and Viat in Germany. And what we've been doing with them is giving them a lot of information and the different challenges they're facing every day in their work. And we think that our solution is moving in the right direction to meet those challenges. It's an incredible solution. I'm going to ask you now, what do you think are the trends for the digital information? It's true that in Spain especially, we've seen that the trends and the challenges are in two areas. The first is the use of data and the availability of data. The second is that all insurance companies want to put the customer in the center of the experience and in the center of the services and products. And they want to personalize services as much as possible. And also, since we're in the data business rather than in the services, there are other smaller trends which are important. For example, many companies want to improve their service related to organized fraud in the sector and also benchmarking and analytics, deeper analytics and deeper confidential analytics. So in this part of the data, we're working together with these companies to resolve these challenges and create a solution. And when there's a collaboration of data between companies, there's a risk factor, an important risk factor. So what is it that you need to protect then? That's a good question, and it's very important because in this collaboration, each company has the opportunity to have access to information that would otherwise be inaccessible. And therefore, we think that it's very important to establish these collaborations. An example, in the case that I mentioned of fraud and organized crime in the insurance business, two different parties can collaborate and pool their data, these internal data, and otherwise they wouldn't be able to collaborate without sharing these data and have a much more efficient process than they could otherwise. And another example is in commercial strategies, they can collaborate in data with other sectors. For example, in the banking sector or pharmaceutical sector, they can improve the synergies in the market and the sales of Insurtech. So, thank you very much.
Muy bien, pues continuamos porque, como estamos comentando, todo esto tiene sentido si al final somos capaces de coger la innovación y poder transferirla al sector asegurador. Qué mejor que poner dos ejemplos de casos reales de éxito entre Insurtech Corporación para poder poner en valor. Es el caso, vamos a hablar ahora con Carmen del Campo, que es directora de innovación de Mutua Madrileña. Carmen, buenas tardes. Y también con Julio Pernía, que es CEO de Video. Julio, buenas tardes. Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Tres micrófonos? ¿Todos bien? Muy bien.
¿Se nos oye bien, no?
Sí, parece que sí.
Perfecto.
Aquí con la distancia parece como estamos aquí.
Sí, como sin mascarilla, es agradable de repente.
Sí. Bueno, tweet, estoy preguntando a todos
Okay,
los
so I just
ponentes
a
cómo
tweet. I'm asking
definirían
all the
sus
speakers how you
organizaciones
could
en un
define
tweet.
your organization in a
Carmen,
tweet.
empezamos contigo.
Carmen, can we begin
¿Cómo
with
define
you?
Mutua en un tweet?
Bueno, Mutua Madrileña es
The
una
Mutua
asociación
Madrileña is one of the main
aseguradora
insurance
en
company in
España,
Spain.
tenemos presencia también en
We're
Chile y en
also
Colombia
in
y
Chile
tenemos
and
cuotas de
Colombia,
mercado
and we have
diferentes. En
different
caso de
market
auto en
shares.
España, por ejemplo, tenemos
In
el 15%
Spain,
de
in
las
Spain we have
tasas,
15%,
el 30%.
and in health we have 30%.
Yo creo que
And
prácticamente como todas las
practically like
empresas que
all
estamos
the
aquí,
companies
estamos haciendo un
represented
esfuerzo
here, we're
muy
making
grande
a
por cambiar
big
nuestra
effort
propuesta
to
de valor al
change
cliente,
our
no solo por adaptarnos
value
a la
proposal
nueva
for
circunstancia,
customers, to
sino
adapt to the
también
new
por
circumstances and
adelantarnos
to
y ser capaces de
be
ofrecer
able to
un
offer
proyecto interesante
an
para
interesting
compañías como la de
project
Julio.
for companies like
Julio, ¿tu
like
tweet?
Julio's. Julio, your tweet?
Gracias primero por invitarnos, ¿vale? Video es una solución.
Video is a solution of visual intelligence to help insurance companies to automate processes through visual channels and to take decisions for
Bien,
companies.
vamos a poner ahora en valor la colaboración
Okay, now let's
entre
talk about the
corporación y
collaboration
startup o
between
Insurtech.
an
Empiezo por
insurance
Julio.
company and your
¿Cuáles son
startup.
los
Julio,
beneficios
what are the
de esta unión?
benefits of this
Pues, a ver,
joint venture?
Yo creo que por muy grandes que sean
Well, I think that no matter how big the technology departments of the corporates are, at the end of the day, to know all of everything, all the pains that an insurance company is having is very difficult. And also, the insurance company are demanding a different way of interacting. So that's why they're collaborating now with startups. First of all, it's time to market. How much time does it take me to develop a solution from zero? We're talking to about months or even years. And also the cost. Not only how long it takes, but also how much it costs to develop it and maintain it, evolve it, using this technology. So time to market is very
Y
important.
Carmen, hablando de la
And Carmen,
colaboración,
talking about
¿cuáles crees que son
collaboration,
los
what do you
retos?
think are the challenges?
Bueno, los retos, el
Well,
primero
the challenges,
lo ha dicho
first of
la
all,
persona de Julio, es la parte
as
del
I
time
mentioned
to
to
market,
Julio,
¿no?
is
Ser
time to market,
capaz
that
de
to be
satisfacer
able
las
to
expectativas
satisfy
de
the
tener una
expectations
colaboración de este
of a
tipo.
collaboration
Y el
like this.
reto es
And the
el
challenge
aportar valor.
is
Entonces,
to
para aportar valor, lo mejor son métricas.
provide
En Mutua
value.
Madrileña
So we
tenemos
have a lot of
aproximadamente
metrics. In
unas
Mutua
20.000
Madrileña, we have about
verificaciones en auto
20,000
cada mes, con
verifications
lo cual
each
es
month.
muy
So it's
importante el impacto
very
que nos
important to
supone
have an
para
impact.
nuestros clientes. Una
This collaboration has to have an
demostración
impact on our
de
customers. And the demonstration of the impact is of the 100% of the verifications made, 98% is a digital verification. So these automatic verification and mechanical verification here, so we have a system of artificial intelligence through a photograph is not able to verify the state of a motor yet, but this is one of the main indications. And the other KPI that's interesting are the claims. This year we've had only one claim or one complaint about, because that's very important because we saw the volume of verifications that were made, so that's a very high
Desde luego, son dos KPIs,
satisfaction rate.
vamos, espectaculares.
Spectacular KPIs.
Sí, sí. Yo voy a hacerle una pregunta a los dos. ¿Qué
I'm gonna ask a
beneficios
question
pensáis que ven los
to both
clientes?
of you. What
Venga,
benefits
vamos
does this
para
have for
no- cada uno diga
customers?
unos. Vale.
Por aquí Carmen seguro que contesta mejor que yo, pero lo que decía ella, ¿no? Yo creo que
Well, I think what she said, the user experience, to go from an experience that could take days and only now takes only minutes, that's the big benefit for the customer. And I think this is only an exercise of empathy. The company understands what it's asking for more interaction and more digital interaction. I completely agree. I think here the main benefit for the Mutua Madrileña is to be humble and recognize that they know how to better do this part of the process, and the Mutua has established this collaboration and is receiving this service when it needs it and where it needs it, and using this type of process for the quantification of the risk. So that's fundamental. And hiring an insurance or signing
Velocidad,
somebody for
velocidad, lo hemos
insurance.
comentado antes, desde luego. Julio, si nos centramos en video, tecnología disruptiva, ¿qué nos
Is this
cuentas?
a disruptive technology? Is yours a disruptive? Well, just trying to summarize, there are different technologies involved in the process. Maybe the The most important part would be on the insurance side, use artificial intelligence to understand what is happening in the process, so we're able to recognize a vehicle, recognize whether damage has been done to the vehicle, if there's enough light or not. All of this helps for the insurer to provide us with quality photographs. Then from there, we have algorithms it takes millions and millions of photographs, and we see that in this photograph there's damage or not, and then we can categorize the damage. And then we have the interaction of all of this. All this information without integration would make no sense. So we integrate all of this and automate the entire process. Sounds simple, but this is one of the most
Carmen, difícil el tema de la integración de personas, tecnología y procesos. ¿Cómo habéis trabajado con trabajo de manera habitual? ¿No tenéis que incorporar un Insurtech en
Insurtech in your models? Well, talking about innovation in my area, the most satisfactory part is when we do a pilot like this with a company, when we get this, reach this trust level, and this project is working and then becomes a contract like we have now. So I think that the integration, the technological integration, is the most complicated phase for any company. But I think in any area, and the way to resolve that is understanding where the keys are. What is a priority in the process? Maybe we can't have the most beautiful interface, but the priority is for the machinery to really understand where the imperfections are in the image, and we're going to work with that and then improve the rest. But the key is to prioritize. You have to prioritize resources from other projects to move forward.
Muy bien, vamos a hablar un poco también de Iberoamérica, ¿no? En su más amplia extensión. ¿Cómo veis ese modelo de relación que hay en el sector, ¿no? En el ecosistema iberoamericano?
Latin American ecosystem. Well, this is relatively new in Latin America. We're newcomers there. We're only in Chile and Colombia for the time being, and solutions like this make a lot of sense. Because the regulatory framework gives us the room to do that, and also the fact of using technology like blockchain, which gives us certainty of the information that we're providing, also helps to reduce fraud, which is another one of the main pains or concerns that insurance companies have. Completely agree. Also, in Latin America and in Spain, there are two similar but different cultures. And in insurance, something similar is true. There are many synergies between the insurance companies in both countries, and we need to do an exercise to share success stories like the Mutua and Video in Latin America.
Y ya vamos a ir terminando. ¿Qué tendencias o megatendencias siempre vamos a preguntar? O sea, veis que va a haber, vamos a decir, los próximos 8 o 12 meses. Venga,
8 or 12 months, just by the end, between now and the beginning of next year.
Adelante.
In addition to what everyone else says, I think over the next several months there's going to be a disruption in everything to do with machine learning. The algorithms have reached a very interesting point now and are supported in a huge amount of data and are going to really contribute to automation. So over the next 12 or 14 months, I think that the industry is going to make a quantum leap in a lot of processes thanks to algorithms. And Carmen? Well, building on what Julio said, which I completely agree with, I think the main thing is that we have this commitment with the customer of not having any fear to share more things. Everything is virtual now with I think the 360 of connected and automatic services. That's going to be basic.
Pues nuevas tendencias también. Carmen del Campo, muchas gracias. Julio Pernía, Video, muchas gracias.
Video, thank you very much.
Nos vemos pronto. Gracias.
I'll be seeing you soon. Thank you.
Muy bien, y vamos a poner otro caso, otro modelo de éxito. En este caso viene y nos acompaña Nieves Malagón de AXA, que es la Head Customer Proposition, y también de Incidents, Carlos Conde, que es su CEO. Muy buenas tardes a los dos, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estáis? Bienvenidos.
Hello.
¿Qué tal todo?
How's everything going? Good.
Pues vamos también a empezar una pequeña definición de cada uno de los modelos, ¿no? de negocio que ahora mismo
See
pues,
how
estáis
you
impulsando dentro de
would
vuestras
define
organizaciones.
your
Nieves.
business models in your organizations. Nieves, well, let me show you. We have a light, like this one. I don't know if you can see it properly. Now you can. This is Help Flash. This is what we are going to talk about today. This is a real case, a real solution. We don't like to talk about success stories because there are different definitions of success, but this is something we have worked on at AXA. It's called Help Flash. If there is an accident or if the car breaks down, you put this on the ceiling of on the roof of the car, and it sends a signal to our department. More than 40% of breakdowns of cars are mechanical breakdowns, so you need proper light. So thanks to the Help Flash, you do not have to step out of the car and go to signal that your car has broken down through a specific triangle, and it is much easier to use this Help Flash. You just put it on the roof of the car right away. It's very easy. The two people who devised this Help Flash were policemen from the civil guard in Spain. They would find different emergency situations, and sometimes policemen were run over by cars while they were helping someone in a car that had broken down. And there were many different types of accidents, people that would end up in hospitals. And we have prevented hundreds of cases of people being run over. How did you develop this Help Flash? Well, it could look like a stupid idea. It's just a light, but a light in order to solve a real problem. The first version of the Help Flash was a light that was not connected to our specific department. It was just to signal that a car had broken down or that you have had an accident from 1 kilometer away. And then we thought, we live in a hyper-connected world. Why don't we send a signal directly to a specific department in our company? We talked to the special department for traffic and roads in Spain, and it will end up being mandatory to have a connected device in order to send a signal to a specific department and to send a signal to other drivers.
De hecho, Nieves, te pregunto,
Nieves,
¿cuál es tu visión de cómo el IoT se ha podido incorporar en el sector asegurador?
How has the Internet of Things been applied to our sector or to your sector? Well, IoT is a disruption for the insurance businesses. Internet has existed for a long time, and our business model has not changed per se, but the Internet of Things allows us to be connected. Now we are talking about mobility in this case. So, insurance companies usually talk about being together with the client, accompanying customers, and this is actual proof that we are together, close to the client at any given time. The client has to press a button and is accompanied by our people from the insurance company. So this is also useful in terms of prevention. This is a case of connected mobility. But we have, for example, water sensors, electricity sensors. in order to avoid shortcuts, in order to avoid accidents at home. So if you can be connected, you can develop more preventive strategies. Insurance companies like to prevent accidents, even though this might seem impossible.
A mí sí me gusta además este ejemplo porque
comentábamos
el otro día, ¿no? Que es el círculo virtuoso lo estamos cerrando,
as we said the other day, we are closing our vicious cycle. Because the important thing is connectivity. The important thing is that roads kind of talk to insurance companies. And we are also protecting people when they are in their own cars. When you are driving on a road, you are in an ecosystem, you have cars ahead of you, you have cars behind you, cars pulled over, cars that have had an accident, and thanks to this system, you can warn other people and increase the safety and security of the rest of the users of the roads. We have a light to save lives, and then we have a platform in order to connect cars, roads, and people. And this is our philosophy. Technology can be used in a vehicle in order to improve your quality of life and to prevent accidents, thanks to the help flash, for example. So we can signal that you've had an accident or that your car has broken down, and then your data can be transmitted in an anonymous manner, and we can send a signal to other drivers and tell them, be careful because in a few kilometers you will find a vehicle that has broken down, or there is a construction site ahead of you, be careful, there will be a hurdle on the road, or someone working on the road doing maintenance or whatever. So I think all this makes sense in order to prevent accidents. We are disrupting even with names. We talk about non-accident, non-insurance policies. Thank you very much for being here. See you soon.
Muy bien, pues para ir terminando este bloque, vamos a dar paso a Luis Badrinas, que es vicepresidente de Madrid Insurtech, que nos va a hablar, va a hacer una reflexión sobre cómo impulsar la transformación digital en el seguro. Así que vamos a darle ya paso a Luis.
In the field of insurance companies. So Luis, the floor is yours.
¿Qué tal, Luis? Muy buenas tardes.
Hello.
Luis, te dejo ya.
Good afternoon or good evening. How are you doing? Great.
Bueno, pues buenos días a aquellos países que estén.
Good morning to all of you in Latin America. Good afternoon or good evening to all of you who are here in Spain, and to all those who are in our same time zone. You've seen some unique innovation examples that are improving the quality of our insurance companies. This is how we are promoting change in the insurance business. Change is favored thanks to global finance. We are partners of this structure, and they are also helping to promote the transformation of our business field. They are very keen on innovation, and they are providing a huge support to all entrepreneurs that are gathered here today. This is an insurance company represented here by these two people that will be talking, José Antonio Jareño and José Torregrosa. I would also like to thank Pablo Morales from Madrid Platform, because it is very important to connect between our countries and Latin American countries. So without further ado, let's talk about innovation, about digital transformation. Digital transformation, as you've seen in the different Insurtechs that have talked here, we have to consider that it is important to have insurance companies because Insurtech has to be validated by insurance companies. We have to make sure that things work because the services provided to customers have to change. Startups are set up based on the needs of clients. In the past, it used to be the other way around. Insurtechs provide a new business model. They take into account the customer experience and changes the business model. We've seen these three aspects today: processes, technology, and individuals. These three aspects are the foundations of change of the insurance business model. Why is a digital hub important? Why should we build a big ecosystem? We've been traveling throughout the world for a long time in order to learn about different innovation models that have an impact in our field. In the year 2016, we started to see innovation in our continent. We always analyze the situation in the US because innovation takes place very quickly in the US. But what should an ecosystem for digital transformation look like? We need to have a place where all stakeholders can talk in order to achieve digital innovation and transformation. So we launched this hub, Insurtech. We have the Madrid Insurtech hub, and we have provided visibility to this ecosystem. We have put startups together with big corporations, with insurance companies, in order to achieve digital transformation. We have included universities as well, so that innovation flows in the insurance sector. Let me mention a report by McKinsey that talks about this new transformation, this new industry, insurance industry, that needs certain strengths as well as absolutely new approaches. On the right-hand side, you can see innovation, startups, agility, dynamic approaches, digital technologies, and on the left-hand side, you can see the incumbents, which have had their brand for a long time, a huge degree of solvency, and the traditional sector has taken very important steps forward. But now we need to change, and when we talk about the two parts of the circumference, we see the traditional sector and we see innovation flowing. And an important aspect of both parts is that there is a meeting point. How can innovation meet the needs of the traditional insurance companies? There are certain key aspects that we have to take into account. I read them in a report. Distribution agreements change between traditional insurance companies and new companies. This process is changing. There are more and more transactions. There are more and more agreements between big insurance companies and Insurtech. But there are certain aspects that we have to keep in mind. We've seen several examples by AXA and Insurtech, or Mutua Madrileña and Insurtech, and I'm sure they've had to work a lot on these 5 aspects we will mention briefly now. First of all, cultural change. There has to be an actual cultural change within the organization. Otherwise, it is impossible for the organization to apply innovation. Why? Because of the comfort zone. We are all comfortable in our comfort zone, so why should we change? An organization has to change. The teams within organizations have to change. Otherwise, innovation will not be applied. It is very difficult to apply innovation in a big company, in a big corporation, if you don't carry out a cultural change. These organizations that have been here today have been making cultural changes for years now, and they will continue to work on cultural change because this requires time. When we want to change something, 20% of the people want to embrace change very quickly, 20% just don't want to change anything, and there's kind of 40% that just waits and sees. And people who could accelerate change or who might stop change. So cultural change is absolutely key. This is the basis. People, individuals, are the basis for digital transformation. Individuals, people know disruptive technologies. People get information on digital technology. People know what blockchain is for. People know what data mining is about. Without individuals, without people, there is no transformation. Therefore, cultural change is absolutely key in any organization. And in second place, governance. Big corporations have complex governance because they're very big. Most insurance companies are present in more than 100 countries, and therefore they have very well structured governance systems, and burdensome too. And therefore, the governance system has to be simplified so that the Insurtech can be validated in the company. When I talk about simplifying, I don't mean eliminating key aspects of governance, key aspects for the organization. I mean being more agile, not eliminating. Some things might be eliminated, but the most important thing is to be agile. That is absolutely key. Then we have leadership. We are all leaders in our organization. There is not just one leader. Each one of us have to lead change. And change has to be led by the one in charge of the field that has to change. Then in fourth place, we have to consider the importance of scouting. We have to choose what we think is best and then assess if I'm making the right choice or not. I need teams of people from different companies to understand each other. And then we have to know who should not lead a project. Please forgive me, but those in charge of systems in companies should not lead this process. And therefore, we need new players, new professionals. All this, in the end, is to achieve digital transformation thanks to the customer experience. The customer has to be in the center. So, we request companies to change by applying a new business model in order to fulfill customers' needs. Thank you very much for your help. Sorry for your attention, and I'll leave you with a video.
Very interesting, all of these changes in the industry. As you've been talking to us about, we need 3 minutes to clean the room according to the protocol, but we'll be right back in our very last part of today's session. Thank you.
Este interesante bloque sobre el Insurtech, tenemos con nosotros el vicepresidente y el presidente de Global Finance. Nos van a contar algunas de las claves finales sobre la especialización y la digitalización como claves del éxito. Bienvenidos, muchas gracias y adelante.
Good afternoon. We do risk consultation in the insurance business. Our focus in terms of specialization is on professionals who are business people, but any incident due to negligence and compensation, that's the professional liability. And this is our specialization. We work with architects, engineers, and we work in different combinations as well, architects and engineers, and we work with economists, lawyers, and so forth. And we're also very much focused on everything having to do with medicine. And our idea is that all of the knowledge, all of the know-how, any error or negligence, it will be covered by our policies. And we have to deal with a lot of changes, administrative and legal changes, and ours were designed to cover different types of liability. And as of 2018, we also had the data protection law, and that's also incorporated into everything that we do. And also the whole environmental issue is covered. So what we're trying to do is this concept of the liability, but focused on know-how and linked with management of corporations, scientific rigor, so with one policy we can cover all of these different areas. We're a very important distribution company, and we have a group of advisors which are very well positioned. In LinkedIn, we have 50,000 professionals in LinkedIn. So we are continually interacting with all of our web support where we have the content. So for a business person can see what it covers and what it costs. And in this case, in this specialization, this is our value added, where they can see what their needs are. So along these lines, we're here with we developed with an outside company a web app to deal with all of these different liabilities, all of these different insurance needs that any company that participates in this event or wants to become international and wants to go to Latin America or Europe, they can have it all structured through our system. So that web app is in our web presence, and our scheme is to see what we have and what you have, and then what you should have. And we've been seeing this as the web app is an insurance program. You can see that here you can see this is one of the tabs in MSH Global. We have the capacity whenever we find a person who knows what they need and wants to structure their insurance in a very simple way here. From the very beginning, we have our digital presence here, and this is a productivity tool with high value added. We created this in 2013 and have been updating it with and making it focus on what our customers really need, and we're continually analyzing demand, and we respond then and incorporate all of these different positions in LinkedIn and webs, and we're working intensely on the content and pricing, so that at any point you can go into our web page, our web app, our web page or the web app. Any user can come in and see the fees, what it is covered, what it costs, and this is based on very simple questionnaires to identify your needs and adjust the policy to your needs. And so what we've done with all of our operational scheme here, we have our advisors, our technical advisors, focused on what the customer really needs. We covered more than 60 different insurance companies, and we're continuously structuring these schemes so that they're easy for the user to use. Our idea is to simplify things, and especially if we have the proper structure so that when there's a problem, we can solve it. There are two issues here, and everything has to do with the hiring of the insurance and then the solving of any incidents, and find the proper focus so that compensation can be paid out based on the established criteria. We have a very strong claims area, and with that area, we have a scheme that allows us to solve any of your issues. We have an exchange with the customer. We make a proposal, give the different options, and in professional civil liability, those are the things that we cover. Liability for administrators and managers in companies. Everything that has to do with guarantees, so that the whole insurance program is updated each year because things can change. And then there's another key issue, which is cybernetics. If damage is repaired, then there could be issues such as legal requirements, and then communications. And then the most important is that any losses or sanctions we've structured all of this, and this is all covered in our policies. And we're working in all technological areas, where we're in different places, different sites that have used our services, and simply we just want to let you know that we're here. We're sponsors. And what we can say is that any doubt or question that you have here, we're at your disposal. And I just wanted to mention that since 2012, we've been Insurtech barely existed, but we saw that there are many things, many tools becoming available, and we wanted to put those at the disposal of customers. So we've been learning many things that there were many things out there that we needed to start using. The big companies are there with their big brands, as we saw in that circle that Luis had on the screen. And there we have the distributors like us, the brokers, and then we have the customers, the most important, and the customers are there. And the customers evolve much faster than the companies and distributors evolve, and therefore those that are able to meet the needs and uses of the customers, then we'll be able to capture and respond better and take better care of them. I always give an example, because the word customer needs to be broken down. And it's not enough to say that here we have the companies, here we have the distributors, and here we have the customers. The customers are segmented. We've segmented them. The customers, as Jose Antonio said, a director, HR director or a CEO might have a need as a CEO or as the head of HR, but he might be a kite surfer. And when the HR director is on LinkedIn and he's doing his kite surfing, he's being followed in Instagram. And this means that at the end of the day, a customer is not just a customer. You have different types of customers. We have different types of uses and different things that the customer does during the course of the day or his life. And we have to use technology at our disposal to provide that person with what they need. That's why we, since 2013, we've been using all of the networks, LinkedIn, searching for those people when they're CEOs or our specialty is the people. We need to cover specific risks or personal risks, and therefore we're also meeting the different ranges of age, the different activities that they carry out. Here we could find seniors that practice high-risk sports, and we could also find young people that are sitting on the sofa. So we have to think that it's not enough just to say customers. We have to break down customers, and so we've been doing that for 8 or 9 years now. We have about 20 different websites on products and the different types of customers. We're going to launch 2 more websites looking for seniors and young people for life insurance and risk, and with appropriate contents for each one of these types of customers, and adjusted to those types of activities and attracting them to our websites and to that they go into the simulators or they calculate the price of what it costs to transfer the risk that they have to an insurance company through us. Last year, we had more than 80,000 tarifications in our websites, more than 2.5 million visits to our websites. Many go in, but we get many of these to come up with to calculate a tariff of over 100,000, and we have an expert team of advisors that select certain products. We don't want to distribute all types of insurance, but rather just those that are interesting to us and that are interesting for our customers, and we add value to those for those customers. So we focus using all of the technology and developing with programmers and developing tarifiers, pricing machines to provide a solution so that they don't have to go web by web and company by company. We can offer that depending on their type of customer, the need of the customer. We offer them wherever they're looking for. So we try to be on the showcasing and try to make our offers as attractive as possible so we can get them interested in a product. None of our salespeople does in-person sales. We provide advice and recommendations to our customers that go into our webpage looking for the product, the ideal product for them. That's what we do. And so we're using what we call the digitization and the different tools, technology, social networks, the blogs, contents, everything really that forms part of the digital world and allows us to do everything online and to distribute insurance online. If we don't close the deal online, it's because almost no insurance company today is prepared to finalize that sale online. It's very difficult. We are prepared to do that on our webpage, to close that deal online, to sign the contracts. And when a company is completely digital and can provide a paper through Amazon or we can provide that paper online. We can do that and close the sale online. So that's what we do. Since 2005, we started as brokers, and since 2012, we started with the digitization. So many times when we hear talk of that we have to digitalize, and it's true, there's a lot of the mediation is done. We are working and we're advancing constantly in digitizing mediation as well. We're using our heads really in all of this development, looking at everything we can do that can help us to complement what we are doing, and all is focused on the customer, on people. The only thing that we're concerned about in our business are individuals, are people. Everything else is easy. We've been doing this for years. The companies make their products, they come up with their policies, and we distribute them. And so what our concern is that the people need, since their needs are evolving, depending on their age and their different activities, and we have to want to satisfy those needs. So that's what we do at Global Finance with the specialization and digitization of our business.
And that's all. Thank you. That's all you do, but it's a lot. Well, thank you very much, José Antonio Jareño and José Torregrosa from Global Finance. So this is the end of the first day of Madrid platform. We have brought to you important speakers. We have been talking about financial instruments for internationalization. We've talked about entrepreneurship. We have talked about the importance of a competitive social transformation in companies. We have talked also about finding a purpose. And we have talked about Insurtech. And tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, we will continue working. I hope everything we've talked about today helps your company to get the tools in order to grow your business here and on the other side of the Atlantic. Thank you very much from Madrid. Thank you.